Hey there, I'm glad you're here. Today we are diving into the topic of schedules. Talking about classroom schedules is one of those things, at least in my opinion, I feel like it's as interesting as when we all ask each other about class size. We're always interested as teachers, oh, how many students do you have? Or what's going on over there? What's your schedule like? Do you have specialists? Things like that, right? We always kind of just want to get the feel for what's going on in other classrooms and other schools. Scheduling is usually pretty unique to our schools, our districts, and just what's available to us. We don't all have the same access to specialists, or maybe you're sharing a lunchroom and you're on a tighter schedule. So many things go into scheduling, and it can be really hard as a teacher when we're trying to balance routines, literacy, math, play. We have all these things that we want to do in a developmentally appropriate way, and then we're handed a schedule that we have to follow, right? It can be hard. So today we're going to talk about what are some things that we can make the norm for our classroom, some scheduling tips that we can weave into a schedule that we're given, because we have to work with what we're given. So we're going to turn it to the positive as much as we can and do the best with what we have. Because I do have schedule examples for you, and we can link those in the show notes as far as example transitional kindergarten schedules, but you likely can't take my schedule and just do exactly that, because you likely have other requirements from your school or different timelines, start and end of day, things like that. So we're going to control what we can control and go through some tips that should work no matter what type of schedule you're on. So first, I want you to know there's no one size fits all. You're not alone. You likely have a different amount of recess than someone else, or specialists at a different time, right? So you're not the only one that's maybe struggling with fitting everything in. It can feel really hard, but our goal really is not to have the perfect schedule, because it does maybe exist in our minds, but we're likely not going to get it. Instead, I want us just to think about, what could I include in a flexible way? So first up, number one, is a predictable structure. Even if you have the craziest schedule and you're doing 15 things before noon because that's what your school has decided, you've got recess and a specialist and this and that, and there's all these transitions. That is not ideal, no, but predictability is very helpful for students. So no matter what your schedule is, number one is work on building in those routines. Use a visual calendar for your students of the day, a visual schedule, for the day. Here's what's happening today. Practice transitions and signals so they know exactly how to go from one place to the next. This makes them feel safe and secure. And then it won't matter if they're doing all of these things in a row, even though it might not be ideal, if they have smooth transitions and they know what to expect. We're doing this next, followed by this. It can really reassure them and helps you with classroom management. Number two is movement and transitions. Make these transitions fun, get kids up and moving. We need to make sure that they're having time to reset and refocus, especially if, let's say, part of our schedule, I remember this, there was one day of the week when I taught kindergarten, there was one day that had nothing. There were no specialists. I think we had our normal recess, but it was such a long day, and you might think, wow, that's a dream because you could fit in anything you wanted. Yes, but also no, because it just was such a wonky day. So it was important that I built in that playtime, but also things like singing, brain breaks, intentional things to kind of reset students and refocus them and make sure that they're not just sitting still for super long blocks of time, right? We want to make sure our students are up, moving, and learning in the most developmentally appropriate way possible. Number three is remembering that it doesn't have to be all or nothing. It doesn't have to be, I'm learning right now and I'm playing right now. Academics and play are not separate. They do not have to be separate. We can weave play into our day and still meet our learning goals. So I encourage you with this tip is, if you have not used playful centers yet through free flowing centers, I encourage you to learn more about that in our show notes. I also encourage you, we have an episode about ways to make your classroom naturally more playful, which we'll link for you as well. I encourage you to listen to that episode too and think, how can I build play into my day, into what I'm already doing, so that I don't feel like we're learning right now, we're playing right now, because those learning and play go together. Number four, flexibility. This is hard for our students. It's hard for us, But when you have strong routines, you are naturally going to become more flexible because your students know how to transition from one thing to another. They know what's coming up. And when we have these conversations with them and we're showing them what's coming up, they're a little more easier, they adapt a little easier. So we can say, usually we do this next, but today we're doing this instead. They might be like, what? You've changed the day. But because you've built up these conversations with them, you've built up the routines of how to get from one place to the next, they will feel more confident, they will believe you, and they will be ready to adapt and kind of go with the flow. Now, if you're thinking, I am not a go with the flow person, it's okay. Sometimes I'm not either. But we know that's the key to early childhood is being flexible. And when we have routines in place, it really, really helps. Lastly is thinking through, number 5, is your whole group and your small group balance. When you're thinking about your schedule and you're looking at your day, you don't need to cram every subject into like a whole group lesson. And this might seem obvious, like we're not teaching whole group all day, but sometimes we think, oh, I have this lesson they need to do. I've got to fit this in. And all of a sudden we have, we're at circle time for an hour, which of course is hopefully none of us are ever at circle time for an hour, but things get too long and we lose some of that developmental appropriateness, right? Now it's too much for our students. So remember when you're looking at your schedule to maximize effectiveness, really utilize your center time, especially free-flowing centers, because you're going to get so much more time with small groups. Even if you're not doing free-flowing centers right now, still think, okay, when do I have small groups? How can I best utilize them? How many am I seeing a day in this time block so that I get the most bang for my buck, if you will? So if you've ever looked at your schedule and felt overwhelmed, like we probably all have, or wondered how you're going to do this like CSI board to fit it together, look at the show notes for kind of this recap and think, okay, what are these core things that I can get in here to help us feel settled no matter what the schedule is. But I also want to make sure that in the show notes, you're downloading our we have a special freebie for you on today's episode. We have a free mega list of themes and skills. So if you have your schedule and you kind of have it set and now the next challenge is like, okay, well, what do I teach? And when do I teach it? This mega list of themes and skills is going to help you with this. It gives you an entire year of planning inspiration. So each month is going to list out themes that you might want to teach that month and also the skills that you might want to teach that month. And if you're in the Print and Play Club as well, it will link directly to those activities for you. And if you're not in the club, it was still going to showcase some activities for you. We have many freebies on the blog, but no matter what, this download of this list in the month-by-month planning sheet is absolutely 100% free. We will link it in the show notes for you. I hope that you love it. I'm excited for you to give it a try. And just remember, every classroom is different. Every teacher's rhythm is unique, but your time matters. So get ahead of things, think through your schedule, think through your sacred planning time so that you can go home on time and get the well-deserved rest, the rest that you deserve after such a busy day. However your schedule is, however your day looks, I know that you're going to make it count, and I hope that you have the best start to the school year. Happy teaching!